If you were following along in Chapter 1, you saw some new features of Backstage View, also known as the File tab, where we saw a few new ways of saving and opening and closing documents. In this movie, I want to show you some new ways of setting workbook permissions. So let's go to the File tab, and in Chapter 1, we looked at this middle section, but now let's take a look at protecting a workbook. So click that, and we have a half dozen options. Now, these features are not new, but what is new is that these features are now all in the same place. And most of them are self-explanatory. Marking is final so that someone who opens it up will find the document is read-only. Encrypting with a password, that's self-explanatory. It's been there for a long time. Protecting sheets and protecting workbooks, also those have been in Excel for many, many versions. But what I want to spend a little bit more time on are these two options down here at the bottom. Let's look at this one first, and then we'll go back up to restrict permission. Click Add a Digital Signature, and you'll get this dialog box coming up. And what this is saying is, okay, if you want a digital signature, you have to sign up for one first. And there's many different vendors that you can sign up for a signature from. And once you get the signature, then it's kind of like notarizing a document. If you've ever dealt with notarizing, maybe getting a student loan or a mortgage or something like that, it basically says that you are who you claim to be. So if you're going to order 1,000 barrels of olives for your olive oil company, that the person knows that it's really you who did that. Well, we're not going to go into this because this is kind of far afield from Excel, but I just wanted you to see what that was. So we could just cancel out. Let's go back to Protect Workbook. Now let's go here to Restrict Permission by People. Now, the first item, by default, unrestricted access, also pretty much self-explanatory. That's just like a new workbook that you created. But click Restricted Access. And you get this dialog box, which basically says that if you want to use the service, you have to sign up for it. Now, if you work for a big company and you need digital rights management, there's a good possibility that you have your own server. If you really need this, you know what this is all about. And you can now go and sign up for the free service from Microsoft. And you could just choose that right here. Now, let's say you decide, well, I don't want to do that right now. Well, when you cancel out, you're going to get this error message saying that, sorry, you can't use the feature. You have to have the credentials first. So just click OK. Now let's go back there for a moment. Click on Protect Workbook, back to Restrict Permissions. If you decide you want to manage credentials, maybe there are several people who are going to be looking at your data, click that. And again, you're going to get the same screen coming up. So you do have to get this service. Even though it's free, you have to deal with it first. And you can read the screen on your own. It's a pretty good explanation. And again, if you cancel out, it'll give you the same error message that you need to have some credentials in order to use the feature first. So you can just click OK. And that's really it. If this is something you need, you probably know it already before watching this movie, but what's really nice now in Excel 2010 is that they've integrated it in Excel rather than making you go out onto the web to do it first.